Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three in.
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you, of course, from high atop the 18th fairway here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I'm Jim Coyle, of course. Your host, as always, Dustin Schutte, on assignment. But on the program today, as always, our friend Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com, as Indiana now looks forward to taking on the juggernaut that is Purdue. Chris Denari will join us. We'll check in on the Pacers as well, and we've got plenty more to get to as the Big Ten season rolls on, whether it's the men's or the women's side, and all kinds of things going on in the world of pro sports as well as the NBA rolls on, trades. Our man, Mr. Masry, love it. On listening from Amman, Jordan, and wherever you're listening from, we appreciate you. All of our peeps down on the river, on the ref. It's always the right call. 97.7 ESPN there in Evansville. And then, of course, up in the region, the voice of the region is WJOB, 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM. Make sure, for those of you that are listening, even up into Chicago, appreciate you. Everybody on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to do that. Comment early and often, as Kevin has. Hello from Jeffersonville. Of course, the Easton Assassin, Fred Havlin's on from Pennsylvania. It is Groundhog Day. Surprised you didn't mention that, Fred. I just was watching a little of that before we came on. Pucks and Tawny Phil.
So what does it mean? And I always get it confused. I saw that he saw his shadow. Does that mean 6 more weeks of winter? See, in my head, I feel like it should be the other way around. Obviously, I don't make the rules, though.
No, because if you see sun, spring's coming.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a shadow, though. That's a shadow.
Your shadow would come out, is what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, if it's wintertime when he sees it, that means it's still there and they're getting rid of it. It's bull.
I know, it's all a load of garbage anyway.
Just like the Farmer's Almanac, man. You know what? It's like that old thing, the 8. Remember the 8 ball you'd shake?
Yeah.
Come up. I think they could do the same thing. What's the weather going to be like in the next 6 weeks? Look for partly cloudy weather. I mean, it could be whatever.
I would say try again later or something stupid like that.
Let's see. Ryan on as well, as I said, from up there in Plata, Indiana. Of course, he can hit WJOB, and they also have JED TV. So I believe they're carrying the.
They have the video version of this show too. Yes.
Yes. So hello, everybody. How you guys doing up there? We appreciate you. Make sure you comment early and often. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you are viewing via YouTube, please do this. Do us that courtesy and hit the subscribe and like button. We greatly appreciate that. And if I could ask you to do one other thing, take out your phone and get on Twitter and follow at Jim Coyle ISB for all the latest updates, game updates, whatever's coming up. Of course, we'll get that out to you. Give our boy John a follow as well at Alden on the Air.
That's right. Now, see, you promote my Twitter now that I have an official at name.
Hey, you got to quit going faceless. You got to turn that camera on.
We'll do the camera since I'm actually on air with you at the moment. Usually, whenever it's you and Dustin, I go face off because it's easier to do other things whenever the face is off.
I hear you. Well, we'll relax. We won't put you through too much.
At least I look fairly official today with the polo and the Adidas. You've got the Under Armour going on.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of off brand today, actually. Adidas is usually my go-to, but I love these particular pullovers. They're it's like a baseball kind of thing, but anyway. Carl, jumping on, appreciate you, brother. Mr. IU Base at IU Base, give those guys a follow. They do a great job keeping everybody updated on what's going on with Indiana baseball. John's on from Southport. Robert thinks the Boilermakers are awful. How do they keep winning?
They just beat Penn State by
I think
20.
he's being snarky. He said snark.
Okay.
So,
I see that. Yeah. And they did it without Zach Edey hitting 30 points last. He had 18 and 20. I mean, I know it's still impressive.
He hasn't had that many 30-point games.
Didn't you say yesterday that he has to have 30 to win for them to win?
A national championship.
Okay, I got that. Makes sense.
In the tournament. Shimatory 66 says under Woody, Mike Woodson, Indiana is 0-10 in regular season Big Ten games when trailing at the half. And they have lost 6 times after leading at the half. Could be an early red flag relative to coaching adjustments. That is an interesting stat. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's what I'm going to keep in mind. 0-10.
0-10 when trailing at half. That is an interesting stat.
Well, that does, and he's not lying. That does play right into adjustments. Sometimes if we're talking about Kansas or Arizona, different story, which they were obviously trailing both of those games. But there's probably enough games. I mean, I don't think I can pull them up quick enough, but there's enough games that they would have lost that makes you go, what happened there? Yeah, that would be too hard to pull up that quick, but very interesting. Very interesting stat. Kevin points out Indiana's only lost 1 time at home this season. Yeah, but that was to who? What? Penn State? What?
Northwestern.
Same difference.
Actually, Northwestern's receiving votes to get in the top 25 right now, and I believe they're a part of the tie for 2nd or 3rd place in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Now, see, I don't know how they're not already in, to be honest with you.
It's
I mean, the net rankings. I think that they're within the top 25 of the net rankings. I cannot remember off of my memory on that. A lot of stats to go through. But it'll be interesting. Northwestern's a team that has had 0. Man, have they been to the NCAA tournament yet?
They went once, and they didn't win the game that they played in.
But they made it.
Yes. I believe it was under Chris Collins, too.
Currently under the NCAA basketball net rankings, Indiana is sitting down at 23 now, behind Duke after their last loss, which is fine. I mean, that's still a 6 seed at worst right now.
My mistake, actually. Northwestern did make the round of 32 in their 1 NCAA tournament appearance in 2017. But that is neither here nor there.
And now here's something I don't understand. When we were looking at Mike DeCourcy's bracket the other day, wasn't Xavier like a 2 or something?
Where are they at right now?
Well, they're 26th in the damn net rankings. So I don't know how in the world you would be a 2 seed when you're 26th in the net rankings.
That doesn't make much sense. I'm trying to see if I can find his current bracket. I'm not finding his newest one. I'm seeing the one from a couple weeks ago.
Well, there should be one each week. Just go to CBB, whatever it was he said. CBB
I'm on his sporting news page, but I'll find it here in a second.
Michigan State has dropped down to 47 in the net rankings. Penn State is 56th in the net rankings. See, Penn State is already on. They're kind of getting onto the border situation, bubble situation, I guess I should say. I may have missed Northwestern. I don't think that they could be this far down in the 70s. So, not seeing any Big Ten teams down here quite this far. I know that Minnesota's further down. Man, I did not see North. There they are. Northwestern is 49th in the net rankings. I mean, they're 15-6 overall. I don't know if does that deserve to be ranked in the top 20.
15. I mean, Indiana's 15-7, and and coming into this week they were 15-6.
Yeah, but they're also 22nd in the net rankings.
It also comes down to where they were preseason wise, and obviously Indiana was very respected at the beginning of the season, whereas Northwestern, nobody was talking about them. They're going to have to earn their way in more so than Indiana's going to have to.
Agree to that, but yeah, they've got to. It's going to be interesting. Illinois is 25. There's a bunch of Big Ten teams that are right there outside of them. There's a bunch of Big Ten teams that looks like it's probably going to get a bunch. The Big Ten seeds are going to be a 1, and then there's going to be probably a bunch of 5s, 6s, 7s. There's just going to be a bunch of middle of the road seeds for the Big Ten, unfortunately.
And honestly, it doesn't matter what seed they are. The only thing the Big Ten needs to do at this point is, well, what I'm saying is what the Big Ten needs to do is just win their matchups. Stop bowing out in the NCAA tournament so early, because that's what all the talk has been the past several.
Bad seeding helps, but bad seeding helps with that. That means you're playing. You're the worse seed you have, the worse schedule you're going to have.
And I agree, but what I'm saying is it doesn't matter who you play. Just beat them. If you're favored in that game, beat them.
That's easy to say.
Yeah, of course it is. And I know it's March Madness. Anything can happen, but the Big Ten has to find a way to stop becoming the March Madness punching bag whenever they're so respected in the regular season.
Lee's on from Florida. Where are you, Lee? We'll have to get you over to the Ugly Grouper. John as well from Brown County. Wyatt.
Love Brown County.
He's up in school probably.
Have some Brosinis for me.
What?
Brosini's Pizza in Brown County.
What, you know better than I do.
I'm surprised. Never heard of it. I figured it might be new. Maybe it's new. Whenever I stayed up in Brown County last year,
here's what you don't understand. You're married.
That's true.
You have a wife.
Yep.
You go to places like Brown County.
That's very
I'm
true.
single. Yep. I'm not married. I do not go to places like Brown County. I don't go shopping and window shopping and what I'm not saying, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, pointing out. I can see John's Saturdays as they go antiquing or not that there's anything wrong with that.
I've never been antiquing, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's something we do after we have kids and then, or in our 40s or 50s.
Yard sale. I used to love to go to yard sales, man. Cutting
down out in the close country, to where I'm at is
just out in the country, like where I lived.
Yeah, there used to be down here, and I think it might still exist, the world's largest yard sale. It's all down at the interstate. I don't know how
That's
long it goes, but
that's Highway 127.
look at that. You know what I'm talking about.
It's the
not even
world's
the interstate.
longest
Yeah.
yard sale. It goes. I don't know where it starts, but it goes all the way down south somewhere. But it's a state highway, not an interstate, but it's 127 that runs down through Kentucky. And yeah, I'm never been to it. I've heard about it. That used to be a great corridor for a bunch of rodeos that we had back in the day as well. Looking back over, Phillips says Northwestern lost to number 1 seeded Gonzaga that year and was a bad no call on a goaltending play. Jesse says Gillis was a madman last night. Yeah. Phillip pointing out that he knocked down 9 3-point shots. This is Mason Gillis. Everybody's been talking about their guards, produced guards, Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. Nobody's talked about. I have not heard anyone talk about Mason Gillis. 9 made threes. Do you know what the record in a game for Indiana is? That's it. 9 made threes. So that ties the Indiana record right there. I don't know if that's a Purdue record. It could be. Carson Edwards may have eclipsed that. I don't know. But that's a lot. Man, that's a lot. And that kills a team.
Break.
We've got to take a break. Jesse's got a great question. We can talk about that. How in the hell are you going to stop Zach Edey? That's just a great question. Hey, we got lots more coming up here. Brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Of course, just go to andymoorehonda.com for the greatest in new and used vehicles. They'll get you in the vehicle you need today. And Endeavor Hospitality and the Wow Club. Make sure you go to the Endeavor Hospitality mywownetwork.com and sign up for the Wow Club. Start earning Wow rewards today to great places like BB's Market, where I will be this Friday, as we are each and every Friday doing the show. Hoping Chef JD pop out some great fare for us to choose from. And you can stop by as well. As a matter of fact, I'll buy you breakfast if you come in. But BB's is a great place to pick up whatever meat you might need. They have full-size bakery. You can eat there. They have a great lunch, brunch, and soon to have the Butcher's Cut restaurant. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
All right. Matt Taylor should be here shortly because I haven't heard from him otherwise. So hopefully that means he's going to be on
Middlebury, Indiana. Where's Middlebury? Hello, Mike. Justin. Land O'Lakes. I love Tampa, Lee. Whiskey Joe's, man. Whiskey Joe's is my spot. Guys got some great comments on that. Say what?
I say I'm going to back out here 1 second so I don't put this music over.
Wow.
I'm back.
Fazan, you can also watch He's got his new 50-inch Samsung TV. You can also watch us on that thing, brother.
That's right. Yeah.
I went to Sam's Club the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, the TVs. I walked in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like 80-inch screen TVs, man.
Gosh, 80 inches. Here's Mr. Matt Taylor, right on cue. We got a minute left till we come back from break.
Speaking of 80-inch TVs.
Yo.
What's up?
What are we doing?
Well, mildewing mostly. What's Matt Taylor doing?
Oh, man, it's cold as hell up here right now. It's like 20.
No excuses. You should be out running. You gotta stay in shape.
Should be doing something, right?
You gotta start next season right now. And that includes the play-by-play man. He's got to be in top shape. It's got to start from the top down, Matt.
That's right, baby. Yeah, I should be interviewing another coach, I think.
Well, aren't you?
All right, here we go, guys.
Professionals, quick, attentive service. Southern Stone Restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Thursday. Man, the week is flying by from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by our good friends from Southern Stone Restaurant, where, of course, each Monday night at 7:05, you can find Inside Indiana Basketball with Don Fisher and Coach Mike Whitson and Terry Morin when she's in town, coach of the number 4 ranked Lady Hoosiers. Welcome aboard, Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. What's going on?
Not much. Just trying to stay out of the cold.
No question. Hey, the groundhog saw a shadow today. That's not good news, right?
Yeah, it's what I heard. I'm starting to put less faith in the groundhog.
Emphasis on a rodent. Oh man, what took you so long?
I think he's been around long enough that maybe it's time that he's senile, and so I'm like, Yeah,
you're trusting in a rodent that burrows himself, right? I mean, I'm not even going to get into it because I don't even know, but I'm just always fascinated. How do these things start? I know they're folklore, but how do they even begin? And how do
that
they
one's and of all one that one's really one that you want to know how to begin. How the hell did the groundhog seeing a shadow begin have anything to do with that?
And why do we still do it?
Well, because you got Bill Murray. That's why.
Bill Murray. Yeah. Yeah, the movie is way better than anything associated with the actual day.
Punxsutawney Phil, that's right. Don't complain. Pete's up in the land of the Vikings. Says 20 is the heat wave.
Yeah,
it's 11 in up there in Minneapolis. High for the day. Heading to like 0 -10 tonight. Ah! Oh, I laugh, but it's not funny. But yikes! No. I saw it was going to be wind chill in Caribou, Maine. Wind chill is going to be -49.
Jesus! Wow, that's insane right there.
I mean, that's
living. I mean, that is living.
What do you do with that?
No, you don't. You don't do anything of that. You just watch the calendar and wait for March, I suppose.
It's seriously. I'm like, well, you just pray the heat doesn't go out.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt, for sure.
Hey, any chance I can get an interview for the head coaching job?
Well, I mean, send in your resume. I'm sure somebody'd call you back. If you got the credentials for it, which I'm sure you do. That's where we're at right now. It's I mean, I don't think I'm surprised by the process, to be honest with you. I mean, we knew this was going to be a patient and diligent process. I mean, Chris Ballard said as such, at the end of the season in his end of the season press conference. So I'm not really surprised by this. I mean, they know this is a really important decision. I mean, the franchise right now is sort of at a turning point. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's definitely a transition period, as you're not going to be picking fourth in the draft very often, or at least you hope not. I mean, they haven't in a long time. And you're trying to get the head coach right to develop, what we all think is got a high degree of possibility being a young, 22-year-old rookie franchise quarterback. So, you're trying to build up that culture. You're trying to build up the development of a young team that's got some star players on it. Yes. But they're trying to marry, two important positions this offseason: head coach and culture, and hopefully state-of-the-art coordinators on offense and defense, and then young dynamic quarterback. We'll see if those things come to fruition later on in the offseason.
Yeah, I wonder, I was just sitting there thinking, Matt, how it's pretty rare that a team that is in the position that the Colts are in as far as the draft of right now fourth, but potentially trading up to number one, who knows? But being in the position of getting that high draft pick of, again, potential number one, and not having a coach at the same time. It's just a weird scenario.
Yeah, I think it's even more unique, like you talked about. I mean, the Chicago Bears have their quarterback, right? They've got their quarterback, and now they're sitting number one. So that makes it even more interesting if you project a couple of months in advance looking at the draft. Yeah, no question. I mean, there's a debate on sports talk radio going on up here. Which is more important to the long-term health and success of the team? Talking for the Colts, is it head coach or quarterback? And, I think you can see it both ways, but I think it's fair to say, if you just boil it all down, that both are incredibly important. And that's why the Colts are taking their time and making sure that they go through this experience to have as many different perspectives on who should guide this team and this franchise going forward. And it goes the other way as well, right? It should go the other way as well, where they want these head coaches to come in and interview the Colts as well. Ask them, hey, what happened towards the end of the season? When I watch tape, when I turn on the film, this is what I see. These are the things that I can glean from the outside. This would be my take on how to fix things, or this would be my process on hiring an offensive coordinator, or, this would be how I would go about this situation. So I think they want as many perspectives and fresh eyeballs on where the Colts are, how they got here, and how they ended the season as possible. So that they can weigh their options and figure out who kind of blends the best, football acumen, leader of men, and, path going forward to get this team back into the playoffs in 2023.
Did Sean Payton ever interview with the Colts, to your knowledge?
He did not.
Why?
He did not. So the Colts have released, or they did release, all of the candidates in the first round. They have not done that in the second round. And so Sean Payton did not receive an initial interview with the Colts.
I have to ask, why? You don't know the answer to this, but that shocks me. I mean, that really shocks me unless he made it known that, hey, I'm not interested or whatever, but I'm shocked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any intel there. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you had to trade for him, right? I mean, so the Broncos gave up compensation, and if the reports are accurate, it's first round compensation.
Well, that explains it a little bit there.
Yeah, that's huge, obviously, for a team like the Colts that's not going to obviously, give up their first round pick this year.
You can't.
Right. So I don't have any intel there. I'm sorry.
Well, that explains it right there. I mean, that lays it out. I mean, they can't afford to give it up. It's one or the other there, and you've got to keep the pick for the quarterback. They've got to stay in the draft and stay up high in the pick. So now I understand completely. And how about Jim Harbaugh? Wasn't it a week ago that he was announced that he wasn't leaving, and then again he meets with the damn Broncos the other day?
Yeah, very, very, very unique situation. Yeah, I mean, and you're probably not going to find out the truth on that situation, maybe ever, but you're certainly not going to find it out from a Michigan perspective, right? If anything does come out, it would be from Harbaugh's, certainly, again, I just use the word unique camp and how they handle things. And, so, I mean, this is what's probably going to happen from here on out as long as Michigan continues to do well and they continue to, either win or contend for Big Ten championships. This is going to be an annual experience, I think, with Jim Harbaugh in the NFL and flirting with coming back to the league.
What is up next for you? What are you doing right now? That you're in the war room helping with the draft pick, right?
Well, outside of that, outside of making sure that the brass gets everything right, which obviously I'm speaking facetiously, but we're still churning out content on a weekly basis. Things are going to start to ramp up a little bit next week. As believe it or not, we're inching closer and closer to free agency. Free agency starts here in about 5 weeks. So starting next week, we're going to have our free agent tracker podcast. That's what we're calling them. And so we're going to take a look at some of the big name in-house free agents for the Colts and examine, the seasons that they had, their contracts, and the likelihood of them coming back, sort of the pros, the cons, and how that would factor into roster construction going forward. So we'll do that starting next week. We're going to take a look at Ashton Dulin and Bobby Okereke for the Colts, on top of our weekly podcast that we have every Tuesday on the Colts Audio Network and Colts.com, so on and so forth. And then we have our weekly radio show on Fridays every week. That's called The Last Word, and that airs on our flagship station in Indy. That's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan, and that, of course, can also be heard on demand after the show is over on Colts.com and the Colts Audio Network. So we're ramping up. I mean, the Combine's going to be here in about 3 weeks, and then the Super Bowl is going to be over, and then like I always say, it's just rinse, wash, repeat. There is no NFL offseason. I mean, literally, the Super Bowl is done. 2 weeks later, you got the Combine. 2 weeks after that, you got free agency, and then about a month after that, you got the draft. So things are definitely picking up. I mean, this is a slow time of the year. If you don't make the playoffs, it's kind of slow, but then as soon as the Super Bowl is over, it is full steam ahead.
Playoffs?
That's right.
Cannot ever hear that word without saying that. That may be and that's more so than practice. But that I cannot even hear the word playoffs without Jim Mora's face jumping into me and just going.
Is that on every sports talk radio soundboard in the history of the format?
It is absolutely. Every time if I'm traveling and I happen to hear a sports show come on, a lot of them will use the great old clips, the classics, which I love. Which I love to play during, like Randy Macho Man Savage, just Ric Flair. But yeah, practice is it's just an all-time great. It will never, ever, ever not be a part of the sports lexicon.
Yeah, that's right.
Playoffs,
that's right. Yeah.
Playoffs
happened right here in Indy, man.
It sure did, man. Brother, what's up next for you?
That's it. That's just it. The weekends have been good, kind of relaxing, not having, games. I think I said last week, these last couple of weekends have felt like, 3 weeks, and the weekends have felt long in a good way because you got nowhere to be for 13 hours on a Sunday. So it's been nice to have full weekends with the family, enjoying some good time at home and getting some stuff done where you neglect for 6-7 months around the house and with the fam. So it's been good kind of catching up and watching a lot of ball and, taking in some other aspects of life, if you will.
Well, that sounds great, man. You have to get out to an IU game.
Yeah. Let me know if you got any extra ducats, man. I'll take you up on it.
Well, I'm sure we can get you credentialed in.
All right.
You can talk your way in.
I've tried. That doesn't work.
No. All you have to do is say, Hi, this is Don Fisher, and I've got to get down to do the
I'm
broadcast.
I'm late for my pregame show with Mike Woodson this afternoon.
I can never get enough of it, man.
I like it.
Love it.
I like
you are
it.
the best.
All right,
buddy,
brother,
I
man.
appreciate you. I hope
Yep,
you have
you
a great
too.
weekend with the family. How's Pops?
Pops as well, man. Pops as well. He's eating good, thanks to you.
Hope to see, I'm sure we'll see him soon. Well,
That's right,
you guys take care, buddy. Have a great weekend.
All right, man. You do the same. Thank you.
The great Matt Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, as he does each and every Tuesday. Appreciate my man, Matt, and look forward to seeing him soon. Brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality and GoTeen. GoTeen is the product for those that are on the go, whether it's you, the kid, the team. It's hard to find fresh, tasty food that's convenient to eat on the fly. GoTeen was created for the go-getters like you. Full of healthy ingredients, including protein powder, and they taste great. And I'm not kidding. I've had them. Just go to GoTeenBites.com. It's like protein, but GoTeen. Or you can pick them up at BB's Market. Hey, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's the deal you won't. Look at Tater, man. Got the 75-inch TV going.
Taterology. Love the nickname.
Lee is teasing us. Yes, I know it is. I looked. Been in the 80s. I've got a flight to Florida over my birthday weekend, but I don't have a place to stay because where I thought I was going to stay at my friend's with because I didn't clear it beforehand because it's never an issue. But it's a girls' weekend. All the ladies are coming down. I'm like, crap. So I can't decide if I'm going to cancel the flight or just bite the bullet and get a place.
So I don't mind the temperatures like this because
I
the moment
do.
it starts getting warm, I'm going to have to get a new air conditioner because if you remember, I had multiple AC problems last year. Instead of buying a new one then, I just waited it out because I knew it was almost the end of summer, and thankfully I didn't make it through. I'm going to have to pony up
That
the
ain't
money.
I don't see that happening, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't think he
Sure,
will
the
either.
Colts are
He
a
already
freaking
committed to
mess.
staying with Michigan, and he's already signed all of his new recruits. They're not going to. I mean, unless he's just a complete ass, he's not going to do anything like that.
Brian, when you're heading over to Sarasota tomorrow for and planning on lunch at the Ugly Grouper, make sure you ask for Thad and tell him you heard it on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I'm
We
sure
need to get
that,
the Ugly Grouper as a sponsor.
well, I think they're about going to be.
Okay.
He'll treat you. He'll give you a little treat. I'm sure of that. Thank you, Brian. Good seeing you. Brian's an
JT,
official
we're not
down.
putting off summer, so you don't have to buy a new AC. Hey, I understand.
Brian's an official down in Florida. I met
met.
at the Mate Montverde Invitational Tournament last year. Could not make it down there this year. Daggone it. Sam on here. There's Sam W. His son attends Montverde.
Man.
Yes, they did. They look good. Not a bad idea. Got to find them, though.
All right, here we go.
Gathering spots in Bloomington. Whether you're out on a date with your spouse, friends, or coworkers, Feast Market and Cellar offers an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff to help you with your selections. Feast also provides a wide variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, a coffee bar, bread, pastries, all made fresh and mouthwatering. Stop by Feast Market and Cellar today.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Forgot to put my earphones in. Hope you're having a great day. Looking at the Big Ten scoreboard for February 1st, which that was yesterday. I can't believe that. But not a good day for Minnesota as they got ran out of the gym at Rutgers, 90-55. Then the women, Indiana's women, went to Minnesota and handled them 77-54. Ohio State drubbed Wisconsin 77-54. And then Purdue destroyed Penn State last night at home.
I do well, even though fans never like when Purdue wins, I do think it would be better. There's more pressure on Purdue that they haven't lost in a while than there would be if they had lost to Penn State last night.
Say that again.
There would be more pressure on Purdue. I feel like there will be more pressure on Purdue because they still have this winning streak going on against Indiana this coming weekend than there would have been if they had, for some reason, lost to Penn State last night.
I don't really think that they're feeling any additional pressure. This game is big enough on its own, and it has so many implications. Player of the year is going to be decided in this game, or not decided. If Purdue,
the gap can be
wins,
narrowed potentially.
It can either be brought together or solidified for Zach Edey. Zach Edey's either going to win the Player of the Year award this weekend, and by that I mean he is just going to lock it in, or Trace Jackson Davis is going to say, nope, I'm going to be Player of the Year, and it's going to have to be a heat, because outside of Indiana, media, they're all over Zach Edey. He had that big 30-point game the other day, which is nice. But Trace Jackson Davis just had like 3 of those in 4 games. It's going to depend. It's going to come down to how they play against each other. Now, I don't see how Zach Edey can guard Trace Jackson Davis if they clear it out. If they would leave Race Thompson on the stinking bench to clear some space out, Indiana's not going to. They're going to have to be hitting great from the perimeter if they run like I think like they have been doing. Because if you try to pack the paint with Zach Edey in there, what the hell? There's no room to do anything. So you're going to have to rely on perimeter shooting only, and that's what Purdue lit up last night. So that's not good unless you're matching or exceeding that. And then, of course, an egg question from Fred. Updates on X, Geronimo, Logan, Race Thompson, Cop's Eye. No. Let's see. Xavier was out at the Maryland game on 2 shoes, but he's coming along. I don't know when you're going to see him. It's a guess. They do not release that information. They don't release information about injuries, period. And there's just no point in guessing. Xavier will be there when he's there. Is it Purdue? Maybe. I don't know. Could be. Geronimo, I don't know how serious it was. So if it wasn't that bad and he just had to sit out that game, maybe he's ready for this week. Logan Duncombe, I don't know that it even matters, to be honest with you. I don't mean that to be negative, but he hasn't played in hardly any games anyway. So he's not someone I expect to pop into this game and make a difference. Race Thompson, you know what? I think Race Thompson, it's good to have him in there at times, but it's also not good to have him in there at times. He just clogs up the offense. He's not full strength. You can obviously see that. And I just don't know that an 80%, 75% player who is not your most important player, let's say, God, I would sure think you could find more production elsewhere, but that's not my decision to make.
Well, here's one thing I think needs to happen, and you may
I
have
said
touched
something
on
that
this
was
already.
false. I don't know. D-Butter
One
too.
thing that may need to happen.
You got to say what's false, man. You can't just say false.
One
Jeff
thing that
JD, what's up?
Indiana's, or that comes to mind when I think of this Purdue game, and when I think about what happened last year when Indiana was successful, a lot of the guys, and I know Rick Bozich, I think, mentioned this yesterday, a lot of the guys that helped Indiana beat this Purdue team are no longer on this Indiana team. So you're going to need to find somebody to replace the production you got from Rob Finney. You're going to need somebody to step up when Michael Durr did, or however you say his name did.
Well, the point of that is two things. Rob Finney was great from the perimeter last year, which they had to have, which they will have to have again this year.
Which means you got two guys and they're inconsistent, one of them better than the other. Galloway's going to need to hit threes, and Miller Kopp's going to have to step up and hit threes.
And Jalen Hood-Schifino cannot have
Jalen Hood-Schifino
the game he had. He cannot go 1 for 14. You have to your stars have to shine. Period. Your big names have to play big in big games, and this is a big game. The key to beating Purdue, in my opinion, is not going to be controlling Zach Edey, because you ain't going to stop him. As I forget who it was on ESPN used to say, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him, which is true. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him and not foul everybody out doing it. But hell, you got a bench full of walk-ons. Sit him in there and beat the crap out of him. I mean, hack the crap out of him. I would.
As much as I think that idea is funny, and you brought it up yesterday,
except for he's a 75%.
There's no way that Mike Woodson does that. There's no way that any coach would do that unless they're just desperate.
No, they used to do that. Hack a Shack, because he was so damn strong. Well, he's kind of like Zach Edey. But
I mean, what are the chances we see a surprise appearance from Logan Duncombe? If let's say Trace Jackson can't contain.
Dude, what's Logan Duncombe gonna do?
Well, what was Michael Durr going to do last year? And
Michael Durr was Michael Durr was an experienced senior.
That's fair.
With a little more beef on him than Logan Duncombe has. Logan Duncombe's been hurt. A, has played none. B, and if he went in, Zach Edey would swat his ass into the fifth row.
Yeah. Indiana's going to have to make perimeter shots, or else things aren't going to go their way then.
Well, it's going to be up to the three bigs. I mean, Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis, Malik Renew. They're going to have to probably team up and but you're not going to stop
the one that needs to step up into a Michael Durr role then. I totally forgot about Malik Renew.
Well, but they're not going to stop him, and you don't have to. But what they do have to do is you got to stop Mason Gillis. You got to stop those freshmen, not letting them hit 3-point shots. You can't let somebody hit 9 3-pointers against you. You just can't. The defense is going to have to be superb everywhere, including on Zach Edey. He's going to get his. But don't let the rest of the team beat you. He can't beat you by himself. And that's the thing. You've got to stop the other pieces, because I just don't think you can stop Zach Edey. I don't think Indiana has the guy that can do that. And I don't think that they have the defensive plan to do that. But we're certainly going to get the chance to find out. So
How about them Cardinals last night? We haven't brought that up yet.
That'd be that. Yeah, Ross said, holy crap, Louisville won a game last night. They beat Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech.
The battle for 14th place in the ACC took place last night.
So Louisville is not the worst team in the ACC. That has to make Georgia Tech feel just.
And they still probably.
Josh Pastner is like, I'm like, dude, you just lost to the worst team in NCAA D1.
It's terrible. Yeah, I don't understand. One thing that has been, this is the most confusing thing about Louisville, is that their roster is not a bad roster. Almost every team, especially when it comes to the mid-majors, that's beaten Louisville would love to trade rosters with them.
And
that's why so many people
problem.
are sold on the fact that Kenny Payne is not the guy for them.
Well, and that way may be the case, because when that happened to Indiana, they did not have that.
Yeah.
They did not. Hey, before I forget, we'll give a shout out to Charlie Miller and Robbie Eggers for the Indiana basketball, the Hoosier.com cast the other night. For those of you who did not see that, it was awesome. I thought Charlie and Robbie did an unbelievable job. They had fun. Man, were they, and the analysis of the game during the game was awesome. Charlie getting excited, the passion, but I loved how those guys were great together. And he'll hopefully get Robbie back on again as a guest. I don't want to spill the beans right now because it's not confirmed, but this Saturday for Purdue.
How can we tease it? Just say which team that his unconfirmed guest played on, and then people can think about it.
You mean what year?
Yeah, which years this guy played from.
Oh, okay. That's a great idea, John. I have got to look that up because I don't remember exactly what that date was. But what a great idea.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Holy crap. We have the same birthday.
You serious?
Yeah.
There's a good hint, too, if people know your birthday.
I'll be damned. That's unbelievable.
This guy played from 1996 to 2000.
There you go. So he played with Charlie. I didn't realize that. Holy cow.
Great.
All right, we got to take a quick break, man. We're having too much fun here at Indiana Sports Speed Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. If you're down in the Louisville, Southern Indiana, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott, Clark, Jefferson counties, all down through there, you need Barbara Pop Real Estate Services because they've served that community for over 3 decades and will get you into the home you want faster, quicker, and less expensive than anyone else. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or our friend Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Speed Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right.
Wow.
So Philip says is the first correct guess to get a prize.
So
you have a lot of prizes to get out.
Oh, it's not. Oh, Brian's not who I thought. I always thought he was the official I met. This is the second time you've gone down there, isn't it, Brian? Or was that someone else? You can't be the. Hey, Joseph, how are you, man? I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, buddy.
What's up?
Well, you act like it's cold, man.
It is.
I'm in shorts. I'm in short sleeves.
Well, you're also inside of your
Hackazak. Oh, there you go. Great one. I didn't think of that. What a dumbass I am. Holy crap. It's going to be Ooh, I think it's a higher scoring game than that.
69-62.
Yeah.
I'd say in the 70s.
Yeah, that's what I was. Not a lot higher, but I think it's going to be a 70-point game.
What was the game last year? Do we remember the final score at IU? I feel like it was in the 70s. I hear all this talk about birthdays. When's your birthday, Jim?
It's in February.
He said it on there. It's the 12th, I think.
Mine's on Saturday. So
This Saturday?
yeah, the Purdue and Indiana game.
Oh,
wow, that's fun.
Yeah, I know.
What is that?
Nothing fun ever happens on my birthday. It's August 24th. It could be the start of week 0 of college football, I guess.
Yeah.
Now that they have that going on.
Yeah. It's just another day of work, though, I guess. I guess I'll look at it. Fun work, I should say.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, I need Limp Bizkit to come to Louder Than Life this year. I know that's a random thought.
Dude.
They just announced Limp Bizkit at Incarceration in Ohio, and it made me want to see him on the Louder Than Life lineup.
Old school Limp Bizkit. You can't go.
Gosh, you can't go wrong.
2000s Limp Bizkit. It's
Have
still.
you seen the Woodstock documentary on Netflix?
Oh, gosh, it's amazing. Right?
I love it.
It's great. I need to watch that again. Actually, I enjoyed watching it.
All right, here we go, guys.
Way to avoid decision fatigue. You pick your plan and pick up at BB's Market with no extra charge. So leave the heavy lifting to us and enjoy healthy eating with stocked meals in your fridge. Order online today at thefreshfork.com. Fresh Fork is a proud partner of WOW Network. This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. It is February number 2. We're 2 days away from Kyler Staley's birthday. Happy birthday, Kyler Staley, as he joins us from thehoosier.com. What are you turning, 12?
I am. It's actually 13th birthday. I'm finally a teenager.
Right. Oh, he's a teeny bopper now. All right. Welcome. Man, this is a gigantic game coming up for Indiana. So many things are playing into it, of course. It's Purdue. That you could stop right there, but Purdue's number 1 in the country. Purdue's number 1 in the conference. Purdue has Zach Edey, and the Player of the Year award has almost been given to him by most of the media. Yet, to me, Trace Jackson Davis, if he hadn't had that little stretch of that little bitty lull, which I think people are really holding against him, because he's had his almost as many 30-point games. He's double machine. But Purdue is the number 1 team, and that matters. Winning matters. Indiana, bounced out of the rankings, back in now. But back in now. But I think it's going to be an unbelievable matchup. Penn State's coach Michael Shrewsbury, who Penn State, of course, I believe, if I'm correct, Indiana lost to Penn State.
Mm-hmm. They got pretty bad.
And Penn State got drilled by Purdue by 22. Penn State coach Michael Shrewsbury said, best team in the country, best player in the country, best coach in the country. So it's going to be a very, very tall task. Indiana was able to pull it off last year. Zach Edey is a better player. Their front court is completely different with a couple of freshmen, but then you saw Mason Gillis just draining 3 after 3 last night as he knocked down a Purdue record 9 3-pointers.
Yeah, really impressive by him. But no, I mean, this game, it can't get any bigger. It's easily the biggest game on Indiana's schedule this year. You could have made the argument North Carolina, but I mean, North Carolina is not what they were. But Purdue, they are the number one team. There's that huge rivalry going in. You've got the potential of Trace Jackson Davis changing the the voters in the whoever votes for the Big Ten Player of the Year. You've got a chance for him to change their minds a little bit. Right now, I value winning like you. So I go with Zach Edey. I think if Trace Jackson Davis could have been a little bit more consistent, maybe to start off the Big Ten season, you would have a closer race. But Trace Jackson Davis has an opportunity here. If he outplays Zach Edey, I think you start opening up that conversation. But I mean, just environment alone. I mean, Assembly Hall is going. Excuse me, but Assembly Hall is going to be just rocking. There's going to be a lot of hate in that building. I mean, it's you're not going to be able to hear whistles. I mean, it's just going to be one of those games. It's got a special feel to it. Indiana lost to Maryland, snapped that, winning streak, which proves to me that, Indiana still has some stuff to work on. They're not going in this with a winning streak. They're going in with, just the mentality is they got to get back on track. And I think Indiana wants to prove something to, to the whole entire nation, because I mean, it's going to be a nationwide game. Purdue wants to prove while they're the best team in the nation, going into Assembly Hall and beating them would be huge. But I mean, it just can't get bigger. I mean, there's so many storylines you can go with it. It's just going to be a special game, and Indiana's just got to bring it.
Absolutely, and that is something that they did not do at Maryland. I was not shocked at the loss, because I said on the show that day, I'm like, I do not expect Indiana to win this game. I don't care what the reasons are. Maryland plays well at home. They were 10-1 and losing only to UCLA, and now they're 11-1. So that is what it is. You just let that one. It's just like the Minnesota game. You let that one go,
away.
You move forward. And you move forward. You've got enough time. You've got a home game that you have to protect home court. For one thing, in the Big Ten, Indiana's only one game above 500 in the Big Ten right now. I think they're 6-5.
Yes.
So they need that win for that reason. They need that win to what that would do to their to their seeding for later on in the tournament. There's just so much importance. Then a recruiting standpoint. I know that Woody is not really recruiting Indiana. Indiana does not seem to be recruiting Indiana hard. There's a couple guys like Trent Sisley or Jalen Harrelson, but they're not. They're recruiting Flory Badunga, but that's probably not going to happen. But Purdue has done nothing but recruit Indiana hard. So there's some recruiting implications there, but I don't know how much really anymore. It used to be huge, but I don't know that that's the case anymore.
I think it's huge to an extent. I would agree with you. It's not as big as what it used to be, but I mean, you're going to have, for example, Jalen Harrelson will be in attendance. So he will get a firsthand look, how Purdue and Indiana match up with each other. Obviously you can't say, win or lose is going to sway his decision either way, but he's going to get a feel of what, the program is with Purdue and, what the feel of the program is with Indiana. There's going to be a lot of guys there in attendance, guys that really, maybe aren't too familiar with the Purdue-Indiana rivalry. If Flory Badunga, we haven't gotten that confirmed yet, but if he's going to be there, he's definitely a guy that has no idea really about the Indiana-Purdue rivalry. He doesn't realize how big it is. So it's going to open up a lot of guys' eyes a little bit. There's going to be a lot of guys there in attendance that are going to get a firsthand feel of just the atmosphere of Assembly Hall. It's going to be a special game. I feel like you can just come up with a new storyline every single time, whether it be with recruits that are going to be there or whatnot. But Indiana, they got it. They got to play tough. They can't be missing shots like they did with Maryland. That's another thing that really screwed them. They got some good looks, but you got to put it in the basket at some point. The defense has got to be there. I'm curious to see how they match up with Zach Edey. I'm curious to see what Woodson's game plan is going to be, whether they double team him or not. The problem is they double team him, they're probably going to leave some shooters open, and that's what's made Purdue successful is when teams double team Zach Edey and they leave their shooters like Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Mason Gillis. You leave those guys open and they knock down shots. So Indiana's got to play nearly perfect if they want to come up with a win here.
Here's a great stat from Taterology. It says the most points Purdue has given up this season is 70. That's very surprising if that is actually the case. I'll have to pull up the record, but that would be shocking.
Yeah.
If that is the case. I mean, my God, Indiana is going to have to score points because Purdue is going to score. They're not. I don't know.
They're going to have to be creative with their scoring too. You know, like
well,
I heard
they're going to have to concede. I think they have to not. I don't want to use the word concede, Zach Edey. Mm-hmm. You have to pressure him, but he's going to get his unless you got some magical formula that nobody else has come up with this year. He's going to get his. So you can't let the rest of this team beat you. Last night, Mason Gillis knocks down 9 threes. You got these two freshmen. Even though they're freshmen, they played well. But I think that this is where they're really missing Xavier Johnson as well, too. If he was out there guarding one of these guys and getting up in their face, man, that would make it very, very tough on them. But that's what Indiana's going to have to do, play tough defense. I think that having Race Thompson in there at the same time with Trace, which they might do to try to double team, but to me, the lane seems like it's going to be clogged up a lot in this game, and it's going to be a perimeter game and a battle between Zach Edey and whether it's Trace Jackson Davis or whomever.
Yeah, and I think the guards for Indiana are going to have to step up in a major way. Last game, obviously they were a non-factor, and Trace Jackson Davis had to do most of the work. But, someone like Jalen Hood-Schifino, there's all the talk about the Purdue freshman. There's all this talk about Braden Smith. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino's got something to prove here going into this game. He's going to have to, obviously it's hard for us to say he needs to play like he did versus Ohio State. But, I mean, he's got to have some kind of that production. He's got to have 80% of that type of production if Indiana wants to win this game. Like you said, having Xavier Johnson would be huge in this game. Having Xavier Johnson would be huge in a lot of Indiana's losses. But, I mean, there's a good chance he's not going to play. I mean, there is a chance that he could play. We just don't know. But, I mean, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Tamar Bates, Trey Galloway, those three guys have to really step up. The backcourt has to play really well if Indiana wants to win this game. Because, I mean, Trace Jackson Davis, like you said, the lane's going to be clogged. There's going to be shooters open. The guards are going to be open. They're going to be left open. They got to be able to knock down shots if Indiana wants to win this game.
Here's an interesting stat. It's involving betting. Let's see. What was that second one? In terms of hitting. Oh, okay. Against the spread this year, Indiana's 10, 11, and 1. Purdue is 10, 12, and 1.
Interesting.
Yeah, which just shows that
against the spread. Yeah,
that's both against the spread. So there's no line set for this game yet, but that means whatever the spread is, it's going to be close to that. You can count on the game being close to that. Doesn't mean it's going to be the actual result.
Right. I don't expect a blowout either way. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to the last second.
Here's another one, thoh, and it brings up the 70 points. In terms of hitting the over in games involving Indiana, they are 13-9-0. The Boilermakers are 9-14-0.
Interesting.
So,
those things don't add up, do they?
No, it's kind of weird, man. So we'll see how that's just some interesting stuff. I see one see right here, the prediction I see is Purdue 71, Indiana 69. So it's expected to be a very, very tight game, which Malik Renew cannot foul out. These guys cannot foul out. Trey Galloway cannot foul out. They've got to be very smart. That's the one thing that Malik Renew in the last game, he picked up one of the dumbest fouls. He missed a shot around the rim, didn't get the rebound, and tried to and then fouled the guy who got the rebound. Dude, you're 80 feet from the other basket, and you're fouling, and you're picking up a dumb first half foul. They cannot do that stuff. They have got to play smart basketball. They've got to take care of the basketball, and they've got to hit shots. I mean, last night on the Hoosier.com cast, Robbie Eggers, I mean, it sounds simple, but he said, God, if they could just hit shots, they could win. And because we've seen that. They've shot the ball so well before that game, but they come back to Assembly Hall, and hopefully that changes things for them. But they've got to shoot the ball. Miller Kopp, I'm not going to get on him, but he took 7 shots in that game. It seems like it takes a dire situation for him to do something. I guess, but the guys had a really bad night. All of them. There were some, like we talked about the horrible. What was it? 1 for 14 for Jalen Hood-Schifino, but Tamar Bates was like 1 of 5. No one was good except for Trace Jackson Davis. And it's going to be. What are you expecting in this game? Will he draw the assignment on Zach Edey, or will it be Race Thompson?
I think it's going to be Trace to start off the game. And I think there's going to be, I mean, it's hard to predict what Woodson's going to do, what his game plan is. I would expect some double teaming, whether that be Trace and Race, Trace and Malik. I expect Malik to get a lot of minutes here, barring any foul situations. Like you said, he's got to be real disciplined on the floor of this game. They need him. He steps up into that, Michael Durr type of role where they need another big body to be on Zach Edey. Foul trouble in the front court is going to be a brutal thing for Indiana in this game. You remember last year, Trace Jackson Davis sat most of the game because he was just in constant foul trouble. It was relied on the guards.
And Indiana won that game with a completely different style, which shocked us all. But it was because they had no perimeter game all season long, and then all of a sudden, Rob Fennessy, has the game of his life and saves Indiana. It's going to take an effort like that again this year. That this is the type of game it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tight game, and somebody's going to have to step up, hit some shots, and Indiana has to have guys to do that. You just have to step up and hit shots. I don't care who it is, whether it's Miller Kopp, whether it's Jalen Hood-Schifino, Trey Galloway. It does not matter to me, but it's going to be interesting seeing the Zach Edey show and what they do with that.
He's going to get his.
He does not foul. He's going to get his, and he doesn't foul. So, and he's a good free throw shooter. What's up next in the at the Hoosier.com?
Yeah, so right now we're just trying to confirm a bunch of names that are going to be in attendance on Saturday. Keegan and I did a recording. We did kind of a mid-season recap of Indiana's year, the Big Ten, and also touched on a few other Big Ten teams. We're going to get that up here shortly and this morning, so check that out. We did a really good job of just breaking down Indiana, what we expect moving forward. So got a lot of previews coming up as well for the game, biggest game of the year. So, a lot of content's going to be pumped out at the Hoosier.com.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, everybody. Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you give him a follow at Kyler Staley and go to thehoosier.com for complete coverage of Indiana news, updating or recruiting updates and everything else you need. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality Wow Club. Metalworks Brewing Company is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, custom metal art, alongside a desire to be involved with the community. Also, all of the Metalworks beers can be found in the Endeavor restaurants. So stop by and check it out. You can also go directly to the brewery located right off the square on 6th Street in Bloomington. back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a home... Daggone it, Brian. Do you know I've never been there yet? It stinks. I can't, because I've heard it is so awesome, but
Did somebody,
Are
hold
you-
on. Did somebody say
You-
Brian?
yes, that's what I want to do on the air, though.
Yeah.
Man, with the Roadcaster, just have it full of stuff like that. That's what it's for. You do that, and you just boom, hit the button. That's
What
one
are
of
we doing, Brian?
that is one of my favorite clips. I played it for Charlie the other day, I think. Hey, what the hell are we doing here, Brian? Brian, you've been down there before, right? To the Ugly Grouper, I believe. But definitely ask for Thad and mention Indiana Sports Beat Radio. That's how you know about them. Appreciate you. You ain't lying, Leslie. Sam, you need to get over to the grouper. A little bit of a drive for you. It's a drive for him. It'd be a drive for him. He's in the Orlando area, Winter Garden. You are exactly right, Tater. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll see. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. You can use that to get better. That doesn't automatically make you better. And that will be a game time decision, Nancy. They will not release information until prior to. Good morning, Mr. Chris Denari.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
I mean, good
Doing
day.
good.
Good day, I should say. I've got to stay in that habit.
All right, 25 seconds till we come back. Here we go.
Metalworks Brewing Company is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art. Check out their custom growlers. Metalworks Brewing Company has an updated menu, new brews, and will be offered in all Endeavor Hospitality restaurants. Come taste what Dr. Hops is brewing. Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Hope you're having a great week and enjoying yourself, getting ready for the weekend. I'm ready for it. It's been a long week. Chris Denari from the Pacers joining us now, brought to you by our good friends from Courtroom Sports Grill, located down in Bedford. They pride themselves on providing their guests with fresh, innovative dishes with a Cajun cuisine designed to please your palate and your wallet. Everything's made from scratch, and it is delicious. Great place to catch a game, watch the Pacers, hang out with friends, invite Chris Denari down. You like Cajun food?
I do. I do like spicy food, no question.
I do too. Except there was a restaurant I was at in Louisville one time, kind of a Asian fusion, really good. And I forget what I ordered, but on the hot, they have how hot do you want it? I'm like, it's the numbers. He's like, so 1, 2, or 3, I think it was. I said, I'll stick with the 2. I don't want to go too far. Well, I dug into that, and
fire shot out of my eyes and nose, and I couldn't. I was like, we're going to stick with number 1 or 0. Boy, they like it spicy. I love spicy food too, but boy,
Yeah, I like
I think Asian food spice is a different level than a Mexican spice. It's
I mean,
level.
I like, if you talk about Asian, Cajun, Mexican, I like it with some heat, I mean, if my wife makes a great chili that has a little bit of heat in it. So I mean,
oh boy, we need to have a chili cook-off. That's my specialty.
This time of year, I mean, with it, being so cold, I mean, chili or beef stew or whatever, man, that's the perfect time of year. And speaking, what a week of basketball. If you think about it, I know people down about the Hoosiers getting beaten Maryland, but you had Purdue last night. You have Pacers, Lakers tonight, Pacers, Kings tomorrow, IU, Purdue on Saturday, and then the Pacers and the Cavaliers at home on Sunday. I mean, for somebody that potentially has tickets for all of those games, that's a pretty darn good week of basketball. I'm going to spend Saturday afternoon. Hopefully I'll be able to watch the IU Purdue game, but it's the 40th reunion of our Wabash College National Championship team. We were supposed to celebrate it last year, but COVID got in the way. There were some protocols that Wabash was underneath. So we won the Division III title back in 1982. So we are all gathering this weekend in Crawfordsville at Chadwick Court. Wabash beat DePaul last night in the rivalry game in Crawfordsville, so that was great. And they play Ohio Wesleyan on Saturday. So I'll be over there for that. It's a busy week for me, but I'll hopefully be able to watch that IU Purdue game. I mean, that should be sensational at Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on the reunion. That's very cool. Any players of note that anyone would know from then? I know it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, our starting center was Pete Metzelaars, who was the starting tight end on the Buffalo Bills 4 Super Bowl teams. I mean, he was
out of here.
He was a 6'8", 260-pound Division III center from Portage, Michigan. Easily could have played Division I basketball or Division I football. He played 17 years in the NFL.
Wow.
He was with Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, all those great Buffalo teams.
What was his name?
Pete Metzelaars. If you Google him, he was terrific. In the national championship game, we played at Calvin College. We played Potsdam State. He had 40-something. So he was a great player. We had a lot of other Indiana kids. I was from Westfield. Dave Clark, Jim Beagle from Carmel. We just lost one of my teammates in the last couple of weeks. Merlin Nice was from Southwood High School up in Wabash. Unfortunately, we lost one of my best friends and our starting forward, Kerry Seward, just after we graduated in a car accident. He was a hometown kid from Crawfordsville. So we were really Indiana built. We had a really good shooting guard and Mike Holcomb from Andrean up in the region. Our starting point guard was Teddy Parker from Lawrenceburg. I always like to say I was a very valuable reserve on that team. But it was just a great group of guys. We were 5-4 at the Christmas break, and the 3 losses that we had leading into the rest of the regular season, Jim, we played at Louisiana Tech, was Division I, at Texas San Antonio, Division I, and Texas A&I, which was Division II, now Texas A&M Kingsville. We had a chance really to win all 3 games. We came back and won 19 straight and won the national championship. So we always believe that trip that our coach, Mac Petty, took us on, just set the table for us. And I mean, literally, we rolled teams when we came back because once we knew that we could play with some Division I teams, we were like, okay, So yeah, it was a fantastic, just something you dream about, right? Winning a national championship. So very, very lucky to be a part of that team.
Well, you get to carry that as you're doing forever, 40 years now, which I know it's not something that you're sitting there thinking about every day, but just to stop and look back on, it's like, wow, that's just pretty cool. I mean, not everybody has one of those just gigantic moments that you can look back on. That's a gigantic moment.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because that was 1982, same year that Michael Jordan and Carolina won the Division I championship. And when Sam Perkins worked for our organization, I got to know Sam. Of course, he played on that Carolina team. And we sort of shared the story that we both were national champions from 1982. And I said, hey, Sam, you played in front of like 60,000 at the Superdome in New Orleans. We played in front of like 4,000 at Calvin College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But by God, we were still the same. We still won a championship. So, it was a lot of fun and brings back some memories. And even though it's 40 years, it doesn't seem like it should be that long ago. I mean,
never does. It never does, man.
When we walk into the, I thought about this. I mean, 40 years ago, we're going to be watching kids on Saturday that are 19, 20, 21 years of age. I mean, they weren't even thought about until 20 years after we won the championship. So yeah, it's when you start putting that into your head, it's crazy. But no, it's been this week has been a good week, Jim. If you think about it, the Pacers last played on Saturday. They don't play until tonight. LeBron James and the Lakers in town. He's 89 points away from becoming the NBA's all-time scoring leader. The Pacers got some great news. Looks like Tyrese Halliburton will be back. He's missed the last 10 games, and it's been a struggle for the Pacers. They're 1-9 without him. But I think the best news was earlier in the week when the Pacers came to an agreement with Miles Turner. Miles has just had a great year. He wants to be a part of the Pacers. He loves Indianapolis. He wants to be a part of the turnaround, and they extended his contract. And so I think a lot of positivity when you look at what the Pacers are building. The next 3 nights, it's going to be, tough games against the Lakers, Sacramento, and Cleveland, but should be a lot of fun at Gainbridge Fieldhouse this weekend.
A lot going on. Not only that, you mentioned the Los Angeles Lakers coming in town tonight. That means LeBron James, who is chasing the all-time scoring record. I don't think
he can get it tonight. If he scores 89 tonight, then the Pacers are in trouble.
Well, that was the good thing is he'll probably play because he cannot reach it. Had he been within reach of that, he might not have played in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they end their road trip this weekend in New Orleans, and ESPN2 has already added that game. So, I'm sure he would love to do it in Los Angeles. In fact, next week, they play Milwaukee, I think, 3 games from now. And if you think about it, he is ready to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. Abdul-Jabbar played for the Lakers, but he started his career as Lou Alcindor in Milwaukee. So it would be really interesting if he was able to do it against the Milwaukee Bucks, the team where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar started his career. But we'll just have to wait and see.
As a Laker.
As a Laker. And the Lakers are playing much better. Ironically, the Pacers and the Lakers have the same record going into tonight, 24-28, 4 games under 500. But the Lakers are playing much better. They beat the Knicks in overtime the other night. They lost in overtime earlier in the road trip in Boston on that controversial no foul call. But this is a Lakers team that I think is starting to play its best basketball. They've got Anthony Davis back. They're probably as healthy as they've been. So it will be interesting to see, who is on the floor tonight. But the hope is that Tyrese Halliburton is available. He's practiced all week. And I'm sure when he went down in New York a couple of weeks ago, they had said the 1st of February was when he was looking to get back. And we're at February 2nd. So hopefully Tyrese is back tonight.
Yeah, without Tyrese, they let's be honest, I don't know that they have a chance to win that game. But if he is to come back, that would be a boost, a mental boost. And boy, it would be fantastic to see the Pacers pull off a victory over the Lakers, who, while they're not one of the top teams, they've got to separate themselves and just get an important win like that.
Yeah, the Pacers have a chance to sweep the Lakers. If you remember back in November during that long 7-game road trip, the Pacers were down 17 early in the fourth quarter.
And won at LA, yeah.
Won the game on Andrew Nemhard's three-pointer at the buzzer. So it was a sensational win. See if the Pacers have swept Golden State this year, winning both in San Francisco and Indianapolis, and they have a chance to sweep the Lakers as well.
I'm sure that LeBron has that in the back of his mind. He seems to remember.
Oh yeah. He
well.
catalogs this. This guy he's a different cat. He remembers all of these things. So there's no question that he will remember what happened to the Lakers the last time.
With him undoubtedly set to become the all-time points leader, and I know you don't know this, but what do you think the odds of him that this is his last year?
I really don't think so from the standpoint, since he turned 38, he is averaging his age. I think he's averaging 38 points per game since he turned 38.
Stupid.
He has said he would like to play, I think, either with or against his son. His son is a senior in high school, so he is not NBA eligible next year.
For 2 years, yeah.
2 years. So, I mean, if you look at the way LeBron manages his body and takes care of himself, there's no reason why he can't play into his 40s. Will he be as effective as he is now? I don't know, but even at 75% of what his effectiveness is, it's as good or if not better than, many players in the NBA. So I don't think so, Jim. I think he still feels, and I know the last 2 years from a team standpoint has not made him happy. I mean, this is a guy that has won championships in Miami, in Cleveland, in LA. He's won 4 titles. It seems in sports, everybody measures championships, and probably as it should be. Michael Jordan has 6. I mean, we can debate Jordan James. MJ won 6, so he's got to be near the top. So I think in some form, LeBron continues to play to sort of chase elusive titles that he's not been able to win the last few years.
There have been several people that played up to 40, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, about almost a dozen maybe that played beyond 40. The oldest 45, a guy I've never heard of, Nat Hickey.
Never heard of Nat Hickey.
Exactly. He last played in his last game was in 1948.
Okay, that's why I haven't heard of Nat Hickey.
For the Providence Steamrollers.
Udonis Haslem is in the league right now at 40, but he barely ever plays for the Miami Heat. So
yeah, well, he's on this list at 42.
Is Bill Russell there? I'm trying. Would he have played into his 40s?
He might have been. It stops at 40, and there may be other 40-year-olds, but I don't.
Any prominent names that I would.
Oh,
know?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Tim Duncan, Jason Kidd, Michael Jordan, Steve Nash.
Okay, yeah.
Juwan Howard, Charles Oakley, Jamal Crawford, Cliff Robinson, Kurt Thomas, Joe Johnson, James Edwards, Grant Hill, Jason Terry.
You'd have a pretty good team there with those 40 signs.
Rick Mahorn, Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, so I think there's no
Dirk Nowitzki, Karl Malone.
Oh, I didn't, so yeah, LeBron easily plays into his 40s because he wants to be in that group as well. He wants to be at the top of those guys who have played into their 40s. So there's no question he's got a couple more years left.
Well, and he's going to break the record. How old is LeBron?
He's 38.
38. He's breaking the record 4 years ahead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem, yeah. Well, that's not true. I don't know when Kareem set the record. His last game was in 1989. So okay. I don't know when does it say when he set the record? No, it does not. Yeah. That's just how long he played. But he was 42. He played until he was 42. So,
Okay.
well, that's what his last game was, the record. So,
Yeah, and I think now the talk would be: is there anybody that could break LeBron's record once he passes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? And I don't even know where the number is. When you think about a guy that can score, would be somebody like Kevin Durant, but I don't
think so, because he's going to play. He's going to play at least 2 to 3 more years.
Right, and if he averages, let's just do the round number of 30 points per game, and even if he plays in 60 games, that's 1,800 points a year. That's potentially another 4,000 points that he would put on the board. So, I think we would be debating that for a long time, that anybody could catch LeBron James. Lawler. I'm a big Terry Morin fan at IU with the women's basketball. Sold out Mackey Arena on Sunday. I mean, that's phenomenal. That you have IU and Purdue men on Saturday at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, and then IU women and Purdue women Sunday at Mackey. You're talking. This is a heck of a basketball week.
Oh, and then in the women, they're ranked number 4 in the country. They're on the number 1 seed line in the NCAA right now. I can't wait until Iowa comes to Bloomington. I think that they may sell out Assembly Hall for that game.
Clark, she's incredible. I've seen some video. I saw a video of her the other day. I showed my wife. There was an outlet pass. She's going down the sideline. A defender's in her way. She whips it behind her back, stops it behind the 3-point arc, a good 7 to 8 feet, launches swish. I mean, she's fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's going to be Indiana and Iowa. That's going to be a big time heavyweight grudge UFC match. Indiana women's team is stinking loaded too.
Yeah,
I think all 5 of their starters could start on any team in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
without question.
I think, Jim, before we go, the best thing that ever happened to me was the 18 years that I was the voice of the WNBA's Indiana Fever. I'd been around women's basketball working at Butler. That's how I met Terry. She was an assistant coach at Butler. But the appreciation I got for the women's game, being around Tamika Catchings and Katie Douglas and all those people, and just to see the growth in the game and how talented these players are now. It's fantastic to watch. So yeah, heck of a weekend in hoops. You got the girls basketball sectionals, boys high school season is winding down. Yeah, it may be cold outside, but it's going to be heating up in arenas and gyms across the state.
Yeah, this is the time of year in Indiana where it starts flying, buddy. What's up? Well, so at least you're home. So you're home for the weekend, which is great.
Home for the weekend. We go to Miami next week for a game against the Heat on Wednesday. So, yeah.
Rough life. Buddy, I can't thank you enough. Hope to see you soon, and we'll have a great night and a great broadcast tonight.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
The great Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio as Pacers taking on the Lakers tonight, and King LeBron as he chases the all-time scoring record. But we've got lots more coming up here, brought to you by Cabello Restaurant, of course, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality Wow Club. Make sure you go sign up for the Wow Club today. Start earning Wow rewards. They are an official IU athletic sponsor. Looking for something different for lunch or dinner? Visit Cabello Restaurant, located on the square in downtown Bloomington. Experience the tastes and traditions of the Italian heritage right here in Southern Indiana. We're back here with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether it's at...
All right, I'll be right back.
Patrick got the grouper shirt. Patrick, I almost wore my ugly grouper shirt today, but I didn't. So I'm glad you wore it instead. Where did I just see?
Someone, daggone it, said something. Oh yeah. Yeah, Lee. It's good stuff, man. It's all fresh made, handmade. It's great. It truly is. Great place to go in and watch a game. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's a nice little spot. And then catty quarter to that on that square, there's a place called Pub 15, which is really nice as well.
Are they doing don't they do a crawl fest every year too? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Well, they did. Well, they did last year. I'm assuming they'll do it again this year.
Anderson was the performer.
Yeah. Who did a post game show with us this year?
Earlier this year, kind of nice to have him.
Absolutely, from Kansas. Sports beat. I was thinking about texting him. Said, "Hey man, write me a theme song."
Wouldn't that be something? That'd be pretty cool.
Yep, I'm gonna tell him.
Just a quick little
Jordan?
30 to 40 second thingy.
Is Jordan? Are you talking about Clarksville? Bubba's 33 in
Clarksville.
I did not. I don't think. That's right, Robert. Keyword for Pacers for those who have tickets. It's like the Indiana-Purdue game.
How much are tickets go? Is the game sold out yet?
Well, it's always sold out.
How much the more tickets went for this year for Indiana-Purdue?
Thank you, Fred. He's on each and every Thursday with us. We are grateful for him.
You need to learn to say his last.
Denari? Is it Denari? You're muted. Or you're gone.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. That happened yesterday too. You hear me?
Yeah.
Right, here we go. 5 seconds.
Is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Hope everybody's having fun. Hitting us up on early and often on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. You guys are doing a great job. Fred says, great to listen to award-winning Chris Denari. I agree with you. He's awesome.
One thing I was saying before when I was losing connection during the break, it's Denari. Dustin tried giving us that lesson a couple weeks ago. Chris Denari, not Denari.
All right, Denari. Chris Denari. He's never said that. I mean, I've never heard that. I've never heard that, though. I've never heard it. If I hear it,
listen, check out a Pacers broadcast and we'll learn.
There you go. Jennifer said Miles Brand's signature's on her diploma, and she sometimes wants to burn it. I don't have to worry about burning mine. When I moved the last time, it disappeared. Let's say I've got to get a replacement somehow. Doug's not a fan of LeBron James. A lot of people aren't.
Many people.
Brian went down to the grouper in September, but it was cut short by a hurricane. He stayed at Lido Key, just south of Longboat Key, which I need to check that out, man. I got to get down there. Carl pointing out that multiple IU fan buses are going to Mackey on Sunday. They do this every year. It's the annual bus trip, man. That's partly why Mackey's sold out, because you're going to have some IU fans there, and more than you normally would.
because anytime like a men's game, it's all Purdue fans. There are no tickets. And even in a women's game, normally it would just be mainly Purdue fans. But IU makes the effort, as Carl points out. And it's a great thing, man. I wish I could go up. It's going to be the odd thing is Terry Morin went to and played for Purdue, John.
No, I knew that. It's definitely one of the more unique things about the fact that like what she's been able to do with Indiana. And she doesn't have that alumni affiliation. She has the opposite, the rival.
Thank you, Carl. JB says, can you name the starters on the women's basketball team without looking it up? Come on, man. Please. You want Mackenzie Holmes, Grace Berger, Sarah Scalia. I always thought it was Scalia. Chloe Moore McNeil, and Sydney Parrish. Come on.
We should have a ding, ding, ding button for that.
I'm like, come on, man. Do I know the starters? Come on, man. Are you kidding me? I love watching that team. They're fun to watch. There we go.
Oops.
Patrick says the cheapest ticket on StubHub, this is for the Purdue game, was $300 plus earlier in the week. Chris saw on Facebook $200 to $400 in the balcony. Cheapest balcony.
Call me old, but I would never, for any Indiana game, pay. You're damn
right. You're damn right. Absolutely, I don't care. There is no game. Well, I'm not going to say that. It would have to require the appearance of somebody almost coming back from the dead to sit in that.
Yeah, I can understand why people wanted to be there for the Bob Knight game.
Yes, that it's only something like that. If I were a fan, would I do?
I mean, other than that, what else would you want to see? Because like that won't ever happen again.
I would not go. I would not sit in that damn balcony for no reason. Now the front of the balcony, I don't know, is any worse than the last few rows of the main seat.
The last few rows of the main bowl, it's horrible. You can't see anything because the awning is it's not. It's the balcony that's over. Yeah, the
top
balcony.
of it.
I call it an awning. I know it's the balcony. That's just
the entire balcony is over top of you, so you're kind of closed in there, and you're up. It's very high. Assembly Hall is made very steep.
So really, only about 50% of Assembly Hall is worth the seats, right?
I'd say that's about true. You get past the 35th row, it just changes. I think for you don't get the noise that is going on out there, because I think it goes out and stays because it's a very loud place. Now Purdue keeps bragging about how loud they are with the decibels. I think they hit 123 the other night. They have a smaller building.
It's just an intimate setting compared to Assembly Hall.
And it's much shorter. Mm-hmm. While Assembly Hall gets extraordinarily loud on the court because it's like two theaters. It's designed as it's theater seating. I mean, think about a theater, but it's just much steeper. But they're two theaters that face each other. And all that noise comes at each other and it just goes straight down. But it hasn't been what it's been without the winning over the last few years. But JB won't even sit in the upper level at Gamebridge for basketball. Now that's not nearly as bad.
I've sat in the upper level for games.
I have too. Hell, they put us up there for the Crossroads Classic, the press. I was like, what are you kidding me? I
love the way, I don't know what it is. It may have just been the specific night it was on, but for some reason, sitting up in the balcony in Gamebridge it's cool. It feels like you're watching from a high-rise building. You know what I mean? Because you're in downtown, you have Lucas Oil right behind you. I don't know what it is. I don't mind sitting up in the balcony in Cambridge.
Bill says when Knight watched IU practice, he had a jacket with IU and Purdue logo. People change and move on. That's the first time I've heard that. I've always seen him wearing a jacket that had a New York police logo on it.
That could be hearsay, but who knows what Bill was talking about then.
Well, he may have seen it.
Maybe he has.
Robert says if you go to West Lafayette, you need to go eat at Triple X Great Greasy Cheeseburgers. There you go. Pete says 3,400, 3,484 for each ticket. Is that right? I mean, I haven't looked it up, but
over $3,000. There's no way.
Well, I mean, they can, and people can ask what they want, but that does not mean. But
I mean, maybe for a courtside seat, maybe.
That's true. Hey, Mike Whitson's going to be on a press conference today. We'll have him. That'll be up on Indiana Sports Beat right here on this channel as soon as that's over. So we'll be talking to him about the Purdue game.
He says on Vivid seats, those are on the court seats. That's how much they're going for.
Wow. And we'll have Woody on here tomorrow as well. Or you'll hear him on here tomorrow as well as Indiana prepares for the game of the year.
North Carolina was big. Stuff. Before we move on, I have to ask this. How much on the day of the Bob Knight game, not on the day of, but ticket prices for the Bob Knight return game, how much was balcony pricing for that? Do you remember?
I cannot, no way. I can't tell. I did not look it up, but because it didn't get out until, it wasn't like you knew a month in advance.
Okay. It was just so some people just got lucky and already had their seats maybe for that game and didn't have to. I tell you what, though, imagine having those seats, then knowing that that's going to happen and being able to resell that if you wanted to.
Well, I know that some fans are selling their basketball tickets, and that's how opposing fans get in to the game. They have to pay those kind of prices because if they went into the game, unless they know somebody, that's their only source. And everybody has rich fans, so it's just curious. I'm just curious. I wish I could find the exact pricing on it. Let's see. Patrick says around row 30, Maine are going for $600.
I can't remember. I know people love their IU basketball, but
Jennifer would not have sold her tickets for the world. Jennifer would not have sold her tickets for the world. I believe she's talking about
she's talking about the Bob Knight game. Yep.
Shimitori 66 says many years ago the front row of the balcony was his favorite spot. He almost fell off when Jay Edwards hit that shot against Michigan.
That's the thing about that balcony. I'm surprised nobody has fallen off of that.
I don't understand how they don't have something a little higher. They've got the rail that's about this high is all.
I guess the issue is if you go any higher, you're blocking people's view, maybe.
No, you could put up like a clear glass thing. They're everywhere. Hell, they're in the stadium, as a matter of fact. They're right. There's one right in front of me that is the exact height that would be perfect for up there. It's like 4 foot tall, at least. So there you go. All Robert remembers about the Bob Knight return game is he coached the team. They crapped the bed and it was horrible. And it was a Purdue game, by the way. It was against Purdue. And guess what? He also
already would have been an expensive game.
Guess what also happened? He never brought the team out to see Bob Knight. Because he was giving them all those words of wisdom he has. Lil Rhodey. Sent out a tweet the other day about Lil Rhodey. He won a game against Lamar, maybe somebody, a 7 and an 8-13 team, and now Lil Rhodey's got the Rhode Island Rams up to 8-12, I think, or 8-13, a losing record. Just a little tidbit, but man, who all's going to the game this weekend? If you're going, it's going to be fun. Bloomington's just going to be blown up regardless, with people that aren't even going to the game. This is one of those games that people are out and about that aren't even going. It's going to be a good one. Hey, tomorrow is going to be a great one as well. Tomorrow's Friday. Wow. So that means we got to get ready for the game. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com will be along to join us, as is Zach Osterman. We'll see what else we can scare up. I think I'm going to try to get someone from Purdue Rivals to talk about this game as well. So we'll have that to get to. I cannot thank you guys enough today. You were always great. Without you, big thanks to Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com, and of course, Chris Denari from the Pacers. John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. Most importantly, big thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here, and we love you and appreciate you. We're back tomorrow to do this again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.